Oh boy! All right, so we got to talk about Oregon versus in Michigan, man. Because I mean, let's be honest here, guys. These two programs, listen. There's a lot of teams that I can talk about, and I think what I'm going to do tomorrow. I think what I'm going to do tomorrow morning, I might just recap the teams that I just like. What happened to you? Like, I understand it's week one. You got to get your shit together, but my goodness, the amount of hype that some of these teams are getting is insane. And one of those teams that is one of those teams I'm going to talk about is Oregon. I don't know what the hell happened with Oregon. Oregon has been hyped up since the beginning of the offseason, right? During the transfer portal period, the amount of players they were getting, Dylan Gabriel coming in, they got Dante Moore as right the proclaimed future of their program, Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart, all these weapons. The offensive line is going to be phenomenal. The defense is going to be great. Jordan Birch. It's just like this is going to be like a national championship caliber team. Matter of fact, a lot of people had this team potentially at least making the semifinal of the playoffs. And for them to struggle against an FCS school, which by the way, a relegated FCS school, because remember they used to be in the FBS now, and they became regulated to the FCS level, and you barely beat that team by 10 points. Is a wow factor to me. Now, I will say this, because there's too many games that came on. I didn't really catch a glimpse of the game until the fourth quarter. 7 for 16 on third down conversions by reading the stat is not a good look. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel had a lot of passing yards, and he threw the ball 47 freaking times in this game. So 7.6 yards per attempt. And again, I got to watch the full game. I got to watch the entire full game. So I'm going to acknowledge it just in case if Oregon fans come from hand and saying, well, you didn't watch the full game. I don't have to by looking at the score of a 24-14 game against an FCS school by the proclaimed number 3 ranked school in the country. The media, the coaches poll had this team top 5, at least top 5. And you scored. Not only couldn't you score more than 24, you barely won by 10 points. You barely won by 10. You won by 10, and a big reason why you won by 10, let's be honest here, was because the defender jumped offside. The defensive tackle jumped offside because it should have been a 4th and 7, ended up being a 4th and 2, and guess what happened? That's when you converted. So who knows what could have happened on that 4th and 7 call right here instead of shortening the distance to 4th and 2. Who knows? It's insane to me. Oregon, I'm not gonna lie to you. Obviously, I think you guys will get better. You guys have no choice to get better because let me tell you something right here. You're not gonna go far. I don't think the Big Ten is, and I kept saying it. That conference it's not as strong as what people are giving it credit for. It's just not. It's not as strong as what people are giving it credit for. However, I will say this: Oregon, you continue to play like that, you're not going to win the Big Ten Conference, and you're definitely not going to make it to the playoffs. You got to play better. That was a pitiful ass performance. I do not give a shit if I'm a box score watcher or a stat watcher. 24-14 against an FCS school when you are supposed to be the number 3 ranked team in the country, a team that's at least favored to go to compete for a conference championship game. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And I cannot remember too many teams that have struggled against FCS schools that continue to be successful. I can't name one in recent memory. I just can't. So we'll see what Oregon does. Michigan, yeah, you have no quarterback. And this is going to be a long season for you guys. I'm just going to let you go. It's going to be a long season. You guys know that, though. Alex Orji, or your walk-on starting quarterback, it's going to be a long season. Your defense is going to be fine, but you got to figure out the quarterback position. You got to figure it out because that was embarrassing against Fresno State. That shit was embarrassing. Yes, you won the game by 20 points. Let's be honest here, though. A lot of those points were it was 23-10 for a while until Will Johnson pretty much had a pick six, 86 yards. We get it. That shit was embarrassing. Just like how Oregon's win was embarrassing against Idaho. But that shit was embarrassing. Both teams were at home. both teams had a shit ton of people. It was damn near packed. Michigan definitely, I think had around 100,000 people, maybe a little less. Oregon, for the most part, was packed house. And for those performances to happen in week one, when you guys are at least supposed to be at least 9 to 10 win favorites, or your season outlook is supposed to be at least 9 to 10 wins, that's embarrassing. Like, come on, man. I just don't know. And I just don't know, man. And like I said, this is why off-season hype with college football, sometimes, like, we buy into it every single year with teams. I mean, Virginia Tech was supposed to be one of the favorites for the ACC. What happens? They lost to Vanderbilt with the majority of the returning production coming back, and they lost to fucking Vanderbilt. Like, this is why sometimes we just can't buy into the hype, right? Everyone's playing, all the casuals are playing college football 25, and they're looking at these team ratings and saying, oh shit, this team's going to be a problem. Because when you play in Eugene or you play on the road in Ann Arbor, you're getting smoked when you're playing as a one-star program. Well, guess what? A lot of these one-star programs went into Eugene, went into Ann Arbor, and they competed. And so it's crazy, man. I can't even do that. Well, of course, you play on Heisman. If you play on freshmen in varsity, you probably can do it. But if you play on fucking Heisman against those teams in those environments where you can barely, oh no, it's a freaking nightmare to play in that shit, man. But Jesus, let me tell you something. Heisman difficulty was on today, and they competed, including one team almost beating them. So, gotta get your shit together, man. You gotta get it together. But we'll see what happens. Oregon, Michigan, today you guys were frauds. And we'll see if you guys get better, or if this is truly who you are, just mediocre, just overrated, potentially maybe even being mediocre football teams. We'll see.